Okay, welcome to a tutorial on Panzer General Allied Assault for Xbox Live. Some of my friends are a little confused on how to play the game, so hopefully this will help them out a little bit. It's a World War II game. I guess it's based on a real board game. And there's two sides, American and Germans. And you have a board made up of 30 tiles, 6 across, 5 up and down. And you get to pick which side we're going to be the Americans for this tutorial. You get to pick which side of the map you want to play from. South right now is highlighted in green, or I can play the north side. I'm not sure why you want to play the north side, but you can if you want to. We'll play with the south side. And then there are 28 maps supposedly based on actual World War II battles. And you know, each map has different terrains and different obstacles you got to try to overcome. To win the game, there are 4 victory conditions that have to be satisfied, but you can turn them off. For example, you can disable all the victory conditions except for one, which is the total destruction of your enemy, where you destroy all his units. So that victory condition is always in effect. You can also turn these on. For example, the first victory condition here is prestige and territory, which means you can gain so many prestige points and have so many territories and you win the game. The options are 75 prestige points and 14 territories, which makes for a very short game. 100 prestige points and 16 territories, again medium length game. And 150 prestige points and control 20 territories, which is a little bit longer game. You can also, another victory condition that you can satisfy to win the game is you control the enemy's home row. And you have to control 6 tiles on the enemy's home row. I'm sorry, not 6, 3 tiles on the enemy's home row where the 3 tiles are adjacent to each other. So if you control 3 adjacent tiles on the enemy's home row, you can win the game. And the other victory condition that you can enable is to just occupy the enemy's home tile. And if you can see the big flag. So if you occupy that enemy's home tile, that will give you a victory. When you play online and multiplayer, another option you have is called the timer, where each turn gets 5 minutes each turn takes 5 minutes. So you have 5 minutes to do everything you're going to do. Move your units and make your battles. After those 5 minutes are up, then the other player goes. It usually takes maybe 2 to 3 minutes to actually to do your movements. But sometimes, if you're taking a while, you can take up to 5 minutes. But that's only on online multiplayer where you could set the timer, and the only option you have is for 5 minutes. So we're trying to start the game. It's telling me I didn't select the custom deck. We'll go over custom decks at another time. We're just going to start with the regular deck. Okay, here's the board, and the die are going to be rolled, and depending on who gets the higher die, they get to go first. In this instance, the Germans got the higher die. They're going to go first. If they go first, what that means is that because I go second, I get an extra 10 prestige points to start the game. If I had won the die roll and I elected to go first, then the Germans would have gotten 10 prestige points. So he's going to place his units. Now I'm going to place my units. Right now, unit placement is free. It doesn't cost anything. Later on, they're going to cost prestige points. So I'm just you have I have 2 veteran units, which are infantry, regular infantry. I have a Sherman tank, which is heavy armor, and I have a 105mm howitzer, which is a medium artillery. I'm going to place my howitzer first, and I'm going to show you how this works. While we're looking at it, let's look at the card itself. You can see the little yellow diamond on the top right has an 11 in it. That means that this card would cost 11 prestige points to play normally. There's a red dot with a number in it. We'll go over that later on. That's used during combat. And then you have, I guess what you call their modifiers. It tells you what their attack value is versus armor, which when we say armor, we're always referring to tanks, versus armor and versus infantry. In this case, it's 8 attack points versus armor and 4 attack points versus infantry. The 3 and the little radio symbol means how many attack points it gives you when it provides support. The 4 in the shield, the little blue shield, the number 4 means how much defense it has. And the number 3 in the green circle means how much health it has. It says range support equals 3, which means it supports up to 3 tiles north and south and east and west. We're going to play this card, and you can see as I'm placing it, it highlights all the other tiles around it in blue, and that tells you where it will give support. So because the Germans have decided to place most of their starting units on the east side of the board, what I'm going to do is I'm going to place my howitzer a little bit more to the east side so I get most of the support on that side. So I'm not going to go completely to the east because you can see where I've lost support towards the middle of the board, but I'm going to be, down the middle but more towards the east. And this is where I'm going to place my unit. I'm going to place my infantry in a swamp area, my heavy armor, my home tile, and my other infantry next to the howitzer. Now here it says I have gained 10 prestige points for going second. And that's all you get to place at first is your starting units. And now what Germany is doing is they're actually going through a regular turn. All they've done is they moved 4 units and they placed a unit in their home territory. And the reason the good thing about placing a unit in a home territory is that it doesn't cost you any prestige points. Now, you can see that every turn you get 4 cards to start with from the deck. And if after you get those 4 cards, you have 10 or more cards in your hand, you can't buy any more cards. However, if you have less than 10 cards in your hand, after you've received the 4 cards, then you can buy cards. And they cost, I believe, about 4 prestige points for every card. Okay, now I can look at my cards that I have. And the ones that are, you can see they're a little bit subdued and it shows you a red circle with a dash through it. It just means you can't use them at this time. Okay, so I have a Sherman tank that's worth 8 prestige points. I have a half track and a howitzer that's worth 7. You know what? What I'm going to do here is I want to place this Sherman tank on my home tile so it doesn't cost me anything. Because you can see I only have 10 prestige points. So if I was to place this Sherman tank anywhere other than my home tile, it would cost me a lot of prestige points. So I'm going to move this tank. And when you highlight a unit, it'll tell you where you can move to and with what unit you can swap. So here I can move north. I can swap with the howitzer to the west. However, I cannot swap with the infantry unit to the right. And the reason for that is because they're in a swamp and the armor can't go in a swamp. There are some armor that can, but in this case the Sherman's a very heavy tank and it won't allow you to. So I'm going to move forward. I have my artillery here. And as you can see, I have the option to dig them in because I'm not going to move them. I like the support that they're providing. I press X, you can see the support they're providing. I'm going to press Y, which digs them in. And all that means is that if your unit is dug in, if you're attacked, you actually get to attack first. I'm going to move this infantry forward. And I'm going to move this infantry out of the swamp. Now I'm going to place my Sherman tank in my home tile for free.